Honestly, what comes to mind when you think of Asics? For me, it's one word: pioneering. And why not? After all, it was founded in 1949 and was at the center of what is arguably considered the biggest heist in sneaker history. But I know you didn't come here to discuss how the brand Nike started off as a distribution company for the Japanese designer in America. Nah, chances are you already heard that story. No, you came here to explore an honest critique of the Asics 1130 and what I think is time for a redesign. So let's dive right in. Okay, so founded by Japanese businessman Kihachiro Onitsuka, for decades Asics stood as a titan in the world of running shoes, imbued with the kind of comfort and performance that athletes and runners swear by. But somewhere along the line, something remarkable happened. Asics crossed over, they became cool, and the brand, once synonymous with function over fashion, found itself in the midst of a massive wave, where the lines between performance sneakers and lifestyle footwear blurred like never before. And somewhere in the thick of that crossover was the Asics 1130. Once released, a set off of frenzy among sneakerheads, all clamoring for that sweet spot between performance, design, affordability and comfort. Guys, we had people buying 2 or 3 pairs of this sneaker in different colorways. That was how popular this sneaker became. The company themselves reported a triple-digit sales growth in the final quarter of 2024 compared to the previous year. All seemed to be going really well. But as much as this was a triumph, it also set the stage for an intriguing question. Like all popular trends, has the Asics 1130 reached its peak? Are people ready to move on? Okay, now let's rewind for a second. Imagine you can only buy one sneaker. One sneaker that would serve any purpose, whether it was work, uni, dog walking, gym, shopping in the mall, or even running to catch a bus. If you considered these use cases, you might find that functionality and comfort all of a sudden may become more valuable to you than aesthetics and status. I suppose this was the exact thought that led Asics to identify a gap in the market and home in on filling it. And with this in 2008, yes guys, I know what you're thinking. This is the part where I introduced the 1130s, but no, let's rewind and come back again. And with this, in 2008, the Gel Kayano for teens were born. But Asics was not a giant at the time. I mean, they had a stellar reputation in the athletics industry, but when it came to lifestyle, they weren't quite the same. They were not an Adidas, for example, and most definitely were not a Nike. So while the Kayanos were notably comfortable and efficient, they came at a price point that couldn't quite justify their value to brand-focused sneakerheads. They needed something more penetrating to reach a wider market. And so in the same year, they made a few tweaks to the already popular K14s that allowed them to save costs on material, thus producing a more affordable option that everyone could actually go for. And that was how the 1130s were born. See what I did there? Now fast forward to the early 2020s when the dad shoe aesthetic started to become more mainstream with functionality and vintage inspired designs that no longer scream performance but also lifestyle. The Asics 1130 capitalized on this trend to garner popularity among sneakerheads looking for something that was comfortable enough to wear all day but stylish enough to keep you in a cool conversation. And what do you know, the trend worked. People started appreciating the subtle technical designs Asics was offering, and the hybrid category of running casual shoes became an almost ubiquitous part of fashion. Other brands started jumping on this trend, guys, and I'm talking even high-end fashion houses like Balenciaga, Off-White and Louis Vuitton. But as we've seen time and time again in fashion, there's always the danger that a brand's successful formula will eventually be overplayed. And right now in 2025, it feels like Asics may have reached that point. To test this hypothesis, I recently purchased the Asics 1130 in white and Rainy Lake colorway. And guys, by the way, in case you're all wondering, Rainy Lake is just a fancy phrase for green. Yeah, whoever named this must have a complicated relationship with colors. Anyways, if we take a look at the overall design, guys, you can immediately spot the resemblance to the Gel Kayano 14s. Unlike the New Balance 740 and 530, they just borrowed the same sole and put a different upper on them. With the Asics, there's a noticeable difference between both. The upper of the 1130s have just got a bit less intricacy and materials. There's less mesh and less of the premium synthetic leather that you will find in the Kayano 14s. There's also less gel in the midsole and it's only present in the heel area as opposed to the Kayanos that's got a lot more around the shoe. We'll see how much of an effect this has on cushioning when we do the on-foot test in a bit. But overall the sole is mostly consistent of rubber and the patterns on the outsoles have this clean look that represent the brand really well. It's also got an inverted dome in the midsection for efficient load distribution like the Nike V5s and the New Balance runners. And lastly, it's got the Asics logo as well as the gel inscribed. Now, the thing I'd just like to add is, as much as these are popular, they can be a bit hard to find, especially if you're looking for a nice colorway. Of course, this could mean that they're high in demand and sell out pretty quickly, but it could also mean that low demand has led to a decrease in supply, hence we're only seeing the leftovers in retail. Because look, I did do a thorough search across different sites, guys. I even had to go into a physical store, and to be honest, I found that to be quite underwhelming. At last, I did settle for this white and green, which honestly wouldn't be my first choice if I was looking for functionality and reliability, because it's mostly white. However, I must admit, in real life it looks quite decent. It also feels a lot more premium than, for example, the V5 runners. Sorry, Nike. But yeah, I think you can just tell that despite being an affordable runner, Asics did place some emphasis on quality. I like when a company does that. Don't just give us some haphazard finish just because it's affordable, you know? Kudos to Asics for this. Now, for fit and comfort, guys, I decided to switch it up with the bootcut jeans first. I know I sort of always save them for last, which I thought might have been leading to a bit of confirmation bias, so I decided to switch things up. But as always, I still thought it looked amazing. I mean, you can see it just sits so nicely at the bottom, allowing just enough of the shoe to be visible, giving that classy, less is more vibe. I also think the color combination makes a really strong case for all the white across the sneaker. I guess I just need to be a bit more careful with stains when I'm out and about. But if we move on to the next fit, I tried this with a pair of baggy chino trousers, and guys, I thought this was equally nice. I think it just gives a very different and unusual way to rock these, and you can just sense it sets it up really nicely for any type of top. Like, you could literally wear this with a shirt, a t-shirt, or even a sweater, but that's as long as you're getting your colors right. Once again, really loving the fit on these. Finally, I switched it up even further and went to the complete summer look, guys. It's a pair of green shorts and white socks, and what do you know, I absolutely love this, guys. Because look at the way the color blends in, from the white socks to the white and green upper, and then the beautiful subtle contrast between the cream colored midsole and the actual upper of the shoe. Honestly, guys, for the first time, I don't really know if I prefer any of these looks over the other. I thought all three were on point, but I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment down below and let's discuss which fits you wear with yours. For comfort, I will say stay exactly true to size, because that's exactly what I did, guys, and I'm not going to lie to you, this is defo the most comfortable shoes I've ever put my feet in, and I don't say this lightly. Guys, I actually don't believe what these feels like. I can't really explain it. I mean, I thought I'd seen it all with the New Balance 740s, and I did mention in my review of that sneaker that it felt almost perfect, but guys, this is as close to perfect as you're ever gonna get, and this is scary because I hear the Gel Kayano 14s are even more comfy than these. Guys, if that's the case, I might be getting a few new Asics shoes for the foreseeable future. I really want to know, guys, has this been your experience as well? Are Asics really the most comfy sneaker brand out there? Do go ahead and recommend me some new ones. Some of you have been recommending, and so far it's been really valuable, so please keep them recommendations coming in. So price, I got this sneaker directly from Asics for £95. Now guys, that is almost half the price of the Gel Kayano 14s for virtually the same design. I mean, quality and comfort might vary slightly, but honestly, I don't think it's anything you will notice enough to warrant paying double the amount. Both might end up wearing out at the same time anyways, so if you ask me, this is better value for your money. Now, one thing I noticed in terms of pricing was they don't all have the metallic overlays. I did see a few other options with suede and slight tweaks in the design that are retailing for a bit more, so you could step up your budget a bit more if you wanted a bit more quality and variation in yours. So what's the verdict on the Asics 1130s? Now guys, I think this is a decent product if you're looking for a stylish stability shoe to wear around casually or for exercises, especially if you get a less vulnerable colorway. For ratings, I'll give it a 6.5 for design, because I think in 2025 the 1130s just maybe doesn't have the same appeal it once did a while ago. It's starting to feel a bit less fresh and a bit more formulaic. Asics may have been pioneers of this trend, but when you're the first to do something, you eventually face the challenge of maintaining that relevance. Now, of course, I do think some of this might have something to do with this particular colorway, as I don't think it's the best out there, but like I said, it's a bit of a challenge at the moment to find something worthwhile below £100, which was my cut-off price point. Durability wise, I give this a 6 because I think generally the finishing is great around the shoe. However, the choice of materials with these metallic mesh overlays as well as the colorway that's got a lot of white in it, I don't see this lasting too long, at least aesthetically. I'm actually going to have to wear these like 4 times a year max, honestly. Of course, you could get this in a different colorway or get one with more durable materials. Just bear in mind it will cost you more. The fit, I give it a 9 because I was really impressed by how it looked in all the outfits that I threw at it, guys. Really surprising. I think it's amazing how some of these sneakers look basic in hand, and then when you try them on, it's like they completely transform into a different shoe. That was literally the case with this, so yeah, I'm sticking with a 9. For comfort, this gets a 9.5 guys. I was so tempted to actually give this a 10 honestly, but from what I know there are more comfy sneakers out there in the Asics lineup, even though not much of a difference, and that's the only reason this didn't get a 10. But to be honest, if someone rated this a 10, I wouldn't actually argue. For traction, the sole has got a good amount of grip and surface. It's intricately patterned with a dome-like dip that keeps the midsection off the ground, which makes it very efficient for exercising or simply walking. I'm giving this a 7.5. For price, it was a bit confusing to be honest, because on one hand, for what it offers, £95 could feel like a steal. However, if you consider you're getting a design that's been around since 2009, it may not feel like it. Although isn't that every sneaker these days? Well, let's give it a 7.5. Performance wise, I give it a 9 because as I've said, you really need to experience these yourself to testify. From comfort to fit to weight and strength, honestly it feels like you could do literally anything at all in these. Now for status guys, as you know, the 1130 is not a luxury shoe. It's actually far from it. It was made primarily to offer performance and comfort at an affordable price, so please bear in mind that this wouldn't necessarily serve as a status symbol. Although I would say that given the recent trend in sneaker preferences moving towards functionality instead of brand reputation, who knows what the future holds for Asics. They might well become the next Nike or Off-White. If anything, New Balance has shown you can go from being a dead that shoe to the coolest brand in the world, so yeah, anything truly is possible. But let's not get carried away, okay? Let's go with a 5. But as you know, like I always say, brands do not always equate to value, so if you're not into brands and status, this metric will not matter to you too much, so you can go ahead and ignore this. That being said guys, overall this shoe gets a 7.5, which I think is a pretty decent score for an affordable runner shoe. To be honest, I think if I found a better colorway this would definitely be higher, although it is possible that what it lacked in colors may have given it an advantage in other categories, so it sort of balances out in the end I think. Obviously from the fit you can tell this can definitely serve as a lifestyle sneaker but also a performance sneaker, because they've managed to still preserve all of its performance features, which is impressive, so yeah, kudos to Asics. Okay, so where does that leave us with the Asics 1130? Well, there's no denying it's a solid sneaker. It's comfortable, it's versatile, and it fits right into the current trend of hybrid running and lifestyle shoes. But when we zoom out and look at the broader picture of the sneaker world, a world that moves fast, so fast in fact that what was groundbreaking one year can easily feel dated the next, we can't help but wonder, what's next for the 1130? Sure, he had a great year, but is it starting to show its age a little bit? Is the design language that works so well in 2024 starting to feel like it's overstretched its welcome? Possibly. People say quit while you're ahead. I say evolve while you're ahead. I think it's time for something different, something less formulaic but more innovative, something that will give Asics a bit of a competitive edge and enable them to pull away from competitors with way more resources, and it has to be an exact replacement for the 1130s. This is a challenge for innovation. Asics have done it before, I believe they can do it again, but the big question is, are they going to? That being said guys, if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more sneaker content. Follow the link at the top if you want to watch the review of the New Balance 1906A, and as always, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the shoe. If you think you're going to get one, or if you've got one already, let me know what your experience has been. Until next time guys, stay stylish and see you in the next video. Peace.